I never liked family vacations and I said that the second Mira brought it up. Do we really have to go? I asked her while she packed clothes I didn't even know she bought. She didn't look at me. It's just a few days, Ray. My parents want to see you. Your parents want family time. Can't you try? I try all the time, I said. But you've been different lately. Her hands froze for a second, then she forced a smile. Different how? You don't talk to me the same way, I replied. And you avoid eye contact. She let out a small laugh. You're overthinking again. Maybe I was. Or maybe I wasn't. Adrian barged into the room like he always did. You two done fighting? Because I'm not driving alone. He punched my shoulder. Come on, man. It'll be fun. Since when do you join our vacations? I asked. Since your mom invited me, he said. She said you'd be boring without me. Mira chuckled, but it felt forced. I tried to ignore it. When we reached the living room, Mom was already waiting with her purse. Ray, relax a little, she said. You're always worrying. Family is family. Yeah, Dad added. Trust people a little. I trust my family, I said. That's not the problem. Mom patted my chest. Then stop acting like it is. Hannah peeked over the couch and waved. Bring me chocolate when you come back. You could come with us, I said. She shook her head. Nope. Exams. Lucky her. The drive to the Hill Resort felt too long. Adrian handled the wheel while Mira sat in the back with me. I tried starting small conversations, but everything sounded wrong. You okay? I asked her. I'm fine, she said. You sure? She sighed. Ray, I just want this trip to be peaceful. That makes two of us. Adrian laughed. Bro, chill. You act like we're going to war. Feels like it, I muttered. What? Mira asked sharply. Nothing. Forget it. Adrian turned the music louder. See? Perfect road trip. But something inside me twisted every time I looked at Mira. Her eyes looked tired and scared. When I asked her if everything was okay, she simply whispered, Please don't ruin this. Those words bothered me for hours. When we stopped for gas, I stepped out and stretched my legs. Dad called me right then. Having fun? He asked. Define fun, I said. He chuckled. Son, sometimes a man needs to stop thinking and start living. Mira is a good woman. Adrian is a good kid. You're lucky to have people who care. I know, I said, though it didn't feel true at that moment. Just enjoy the trip, he said. I hung up, walked back to the car and saw Mira and Adrian laughing about something. When they noticed me, they quieted down too quickly. A sharp coldness ran down my spine. Everything good? I asked. Yeah, they said at the same time. I didn't push it. Maybe I didn't want the answer. We finally reached the Hill Resort near sunset. The air was cold, the sky orange, and for a second I wished I could breathe without feeling heavy inside. At the reception, Mira said, I'll take the keys. Ray, can you grab the luggage? Sure, I said. When I entered our assigned room, I dropped my bags on the bed, looked around and waited for Mira to follow. But she didn't. Instead, I noticed something strange. Only my luggage was in the room. Her suitcase, her bag, her things. None of it was there. And in that moment, the quiet fear I'd been ignoring finally whispered in my ear. Something is wrong. I kept staring at the empty space where Myra's luggage should have been. Maybe she took it inside already, I muttered to myself, but even my own voice sounded unsure. Something in my chest tightened. I stepped into the hallway calling, Mira? You in one of the rooms? No reply. Only the soft hum of the heater. I knocked on the first door. Silence. The second door. Nothing. By the time I reached the third, my hand was shaking and I didn't know why. I knocked. A few seconds passed. Then the door cracked open. Adrian stood there, shirtless, breathless, eyes wide like he'd been caught stealing. Bro, hey, what are you doing here? He stammered. I frowned. Looking for my wife. Have you seen her? His body blocked the doorway like a wall. No, she's probably with your mom. You know how women are. Then I heard it. A voice. Her voice. Adrian, who is it? Just shut the door. Everything inside me froze. I pushed him aside so hard he stumbled back. Move. Wait, stop, just listen to me, he said, grabbing my arm. I ripped my arm away and stepped inside. The room smelled like her perfume. 2 pillows crushed into one spot. A blanket thrown to the floor. Mira stood near the bed, hair messy, wearing the t-shirt she usually slept in. Her face turned white when she saw me. I whispered, Mira, why is your stuff here? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Adrian rushed between us. It's not what you think. She just, look, we were only. Shut up, I snapped. I want her to speak. Mira grabbed the bed's edge to steady herself. I was going to tell you later. Tell me what? My voice cracked. Tell me what, Mira? It's not like it looks, Adrian said again, stepping closer. I shoved him back. If you speak one more time, I swear. Mira lifted her shaky hands. Please don't fight. It was a mistake. We didn't plan this. It just happened. My ears rang. You and him? Tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We were scared. We didn't want to hurt you. Hurt me? I laughed, an empty, broken sound. You're standing in a room together, sharing a bed. And you're telling me you didn't want to hurt me? Adrian grabbed his shirt from the chair. Look, man, I didn't mean to betray you. It just got emotional. You two were fighting a lot. She needed someone to talk to. I stared at him. So you opened your arms? Is that what cousins do now? He looked away. My hand shook. How long? Mira covered her face. A few months. Months? I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. While I trusted both of you. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. My mom rushed in first. What is going on? We heard yelling. Dad followed. Is everyone okay? I didn't look at them. I kept staring at Mira like she was someone I had never met. Adrian tried to speak again. Uncle, Auntie, it's... Mira cut him off. No. Stop. She turned to my parents. He found out. We didn't want him to find out like this. My mom covered her mouth. Mira, how could you? Dad stepped toward me. Son, breathe. Just breathe. But I couldn't. The walls felt like they were closing in. The air was too thin. My legs felt weak. I whispered, I need to go. Wait, please, Mira said, taking a step toward me. I stepped back. Don't. I walked past all of them, straight out of the room, down the hall, out the door, and into the freezing night air. The cold hit my face hard, but it still didn't numb the pain exploding in my chest. I leaned against the railing, trying to breathe, but every breath felt like fire. I whispered to myself, I opened a door I should have never touched. And everything I knew shattered. I stood outside the resort, the cold air hitting my face like a slap. Mira, I said, my voice shaking, just tell me what's going on. She stepped out after a long silence, arms crossed like she was the one hurt. Can we not do this here? She whispered. We're doing it now, I said. Why was your luggage in Adrian's room? Why were you in his room? Why did I hear you tell him to shut the door? She looked down, rubbing her wrist. We connected emotionally months ago. Her voice felt like a hammer driving into my chest. Emotionally? I said. So that means what? You loved him? You never loved me? My hands were trembling. Answer me. I don't know, she said, barely looking at me. Things were hard. You were always busy. He listened. So it's my fault you cheated? I asked. That's what you're saying? No, she said quickly. I'm not blaming you. I'm saying I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, I repeated, laughing bitterly. But you slept with my cousin. You lied to my face. You begged me to come on this trip just to hide it longer. Adrian stepped outside then, still buttoning his shirt. Look, man, he said, we didn't plan for you to find out like this. I stared at him. Did you ever think about me at all? At any moment? He sighed. You weren't around. She was lonely. He didn't finish because my father's hand cracked across his face. Adrian stumbled, holding his cheek. How dare you, my father shouted. You grew up with him. You ate at our table. This is what you do to family. My mother rushed out behind him, crying. This is my fault, she said, grabbing her head. I invited him. I thought a family trip would help everyone reconnect. It's not your fault, I said quietly. None of this is on you. Mira took a step toward me. Please don't hate me, she said. I made mistakes, but I didn't want to lose you. You already lost me, I said. You lost me the moment you chose him. She covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Yes, you did, I said. Both of you did. You just didn't want to deal with the consequences. Adrian tried again. If you just let us explain. You don't get to explain, I said. You don't get to talk about anything with me. Not anymore. I felt something break inside me then, something deep and final, like a rope that had been holding me together finally snapped. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just felt empty. My father placed a hand on my shoulder. Son, let's go back inside. I can't, I said. Not right now. Mira reached for me but I stepped back. Don't, I said. Just, don't. The air felt colder suddenly, heavy and sharp. I walked past them, past the stunned faces of my parents, past Adrian holding his cheek, past Mira whispering my name like a plea I couldn't answer. I kept walking until the lights of the resort faded behind me. The night was wide and silent, and for the first time, I understood what pain without sound felt like. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed to leave before I shattered completely. I breathed slowly, feeling each step pull me farther from them, from everything I thought I knew. The silence me felt heavy, but it held hope. When I reached home that night, I didn't turn on the lights. I just dropped my bag near the door and sat on the cold floor. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I didn't look at it. I felt like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left my body on autopilot. My mom knocked softly on my door an hour later. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I whispered. It was the only word I could manage. She stepped in and sat beside me. Mira stayed with her parents. Adrian left somewhere. We don't know where. "Good," I muttered. "I don't want to see either of them." My mom sighed. "I'm sorry, son. I should never have invited him." "It's not your fault," I said. "They made their choices." A little later, Hannah came in. She sat on the floor in front of me, hugging her knees. "You didn't deserve any of this," she said in her tiny voice. I tried to smile, but it hurt. "Thanks, Hannah." "Do you want tea?" she asked. "No," I said. "I don't want anything." She frowned. "Then I'll just sit here." I didn't reply. I couldn't. I felt like if I opened my mouth again, something inside me would break apart even more. That night, sleep didn't come. I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian opening that door, Myra's voice telling him to shut it, the pillows, their faces, my father's anger. My mind kept replaying it like a broken movie. I tried to stop it, but it looped again and again until my chest felt tight. At 3 a.m., my phone vibrated. A message from Mira. "Please talk to me. I'm sorry. I never wanted you to find out like that. I didn't plan any of this. I'm confused. Please just call me." I tossed the phone aside. Another message followed. "You weren't around. I felt lonely. Adrian listened. Just happened. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. After everything, she was still blaming me. Then Adrian texted me. "I'm sorry, but I love her." Those words felt like a knife sinking deeper into the wound. Not the apology. Not the guilt. Just, "but I love her." I shut my phone off completely and threw it toward the closet. It hit the wall and fell, but I didn't care. I pulled my blanket over my head, trying to hide from everything, but the pain crawled into every space inside me. The next morning, Dad called me downstairs. "Son, you need to eat," he said. "I'm not hungry," I whispered. "You can't go on like this." "How should I go on?" I asked. "Tell me. How do I breathe when everything I trusted fell apart in front of me?" Dad stood quietly for a moment. "You start small. You get up. You take a step. And we're here with you." "I don't feel alive," I murmured. "You will," he said softly. "But it'll take time." For days I barely spoke. I avoided everyone, even my friends. I stayed in my room, curtains closed, phone off. Mira kept sending long paragraphs. I never opened them fully. I saw the first words, and that was enough. Adrian didn't message again after that one line, but it echoed inside my head. "I should file for divorce," I whispered to myself one night. But the thought made my chest tighten. Not because I wanted her. Not because I loved her. But because I felt too broken, too weak, too exhausted to start anything that required more strength. So I sat there in the dark, silent, staring at nothing, wishing I could disappear for a while. And that became my new routine. When I heard the knock on my door that night, I didn't expect her voice. "Please, open the door," Mira cried. I stood still in the hallway. My chest felt tight, but not because of love, because I didn't want to face her again. She knocked harder. "I know you're inside. Please just listen." I opened the door without saying a word. She stood there shaking, her eyes swollen, her hair messy like she had been crying for hours. "Can I come in?" she whispered. I stepped aside. "Say what you came to say." The moment she entered, she broke down completely. She dropped to her knees on my living room floor, clutching her chest as if she couldn't breathe. "He blocked me," she said through tears. "Adrian blocked me everywhere. He won't answer. He just disappeared." She covered her face. "He used me. He just used me." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "And you came here because?" "Because I'm lost," she said. "Because I ruined everything. I ruined you. I ruined myself. Her voice cracked so hard it almost sounded painful. But I felt nothing. No anger. No sympathy. Just emptiness. She looked up at me with red eyes. Why aren't you saying anything? What do you want me to say? I asked calmly. I want you to tell me there's still hope, she whispered. That maybe we can fix something. I shook my head. There's nothing to fix. She crawled closer, placing her hand on my shoe. Please, don't talk like that. I know I messed up. I know I broke you. I know I broke us. But I can change. I can undo this. You can't undo anything, I said. You didn't break the marriage. You burned it. Her lips trembled. I know, and I regret it every second. I wake up shaking. I can't eat. I can't sleep. Adrian said he loved me. I believed him. And now he's gone. I'm alone. You should have thought about that, I said, before you climbed into his bed. She cried harder. You're cruel. No, I said. I'm honest. She stared at me, her breathing shaky. Do you hate me? I looked at her for a long moment. No, I don't hate you. But I don't love you either. Not anymore. My words hit her like a slap. She put a hand on her mouth and sobbed. Please don't say that. Please, don't tell me you stopped loving me. I didn't stop, I said quietly. You killed it. She shook her head violently. No, we can work it out. We can go to therapy. We can talk. We can start over. I'll do anything. Starting over with someone who chose my cousin? I said. Mira, even if you stitched my heart together, the scars would still spell your name. She collapsed again, kneeling, her forehead touching the floor. I destroyed my life. I didn't move. Then rebuild it somewhere else. She stayed like that for a minute, trying to breathe through her sobs. Then she wiped her face and stood up slowly. I'll leave, she whispered. But, please know I never wanted to hurt you. You did, I replied. But it's done. She opened the door, hesitated, then looked back one last time. I'm sorry, for everything. You should be, I said softly. When she left, the silence felt heavier than her presence. A few minutes later, my father knocked and stepped inside. I heard her leave. Are you okay? I'm filing for divorce, I said. He nodded. Good. This will free you. For the first time in weeks, I felt myself breathing a little easier. The darkness around me didn't disappear, but it finally stopped growing. And my life, slowly, painfully, began to move again. The morning sunlight burned through my blinds, but I barely noticed. My phone buzzed with a new message from Mom. I sighed before opening it. Ethan, have you heard? Adrian lost his job. They say he got into a fight with Myra's brother. I stared at the screen. My chest tightened, but not with joy. More like a hollow acknowledgement that the world sometimes has its own way of balancing things. I didn't reply. Minutes later, another notification. Mira, I'm staying at a cheap hostel. I messed everything up. Please forgive me. I put the phone down and ran my hands through my hair. The words should have hurt more. They didn't. Not really. My anger had burned itself out, leaving only a gray emptiness. Mom called. Her voice trembled when I answered. Ethan, you can't hate them. Pain returns to those who cause it. You'll see. Time heals, but karma comes quietly. I hear it, I said softly, but it doesn't feel like justice. Not really. She hesitated. It's not about feeling justice, my son. It's about truth coming to light. You were wronged, but you must remain whole. I hung up and walked to the gym. The smell of rubber mats and the metallic clang of weights felt like a sanctuary. I pressed through push-ups, then hit the treadmill. Sweat burned my eyes, but at least my body was alive, even if my mind still carried scars. Later, Hannah texted me. Big brother, I saw Adrian on the news. I'm glad you're okay. You didn't deserve any of this. I smiled faintly, the first real emotion of the day. Thanks, Hannah, I whispered even though she couldn't hear me. The day passed in a blur of routines. Emails, calls I didn't answer, more hours at the gym. Still, my thoughts wandered back to Mira. I thought of her tears, her trembling voice kneeling before me, begging for forgiveness. I remembered the countless nights I couldn't sleep, replaying that image over and over. But today, for the first time, I felt indifferent. She called again in the evening. Ethan, please just listen. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make it right. I let it ring. I didn't answer. Her pleas had lost their power. The weight of betrayal had faded into a faint shadow, and I was no longer their prisoner. Instead, I went for a walk with Hannah. The streetlights painted the city in warm and cool contrasts. the rhythm of our steps grounding me. She held my hand, small but reassuring. "You're strong, Ethan," she said softly. "Even when they broke everything, you didn't fall apart completely." "I'm still broken," I admitted, "but I'm standing. That has to count for something." She smiled, squeezing my hand. "It does. It counts for everything." I realized she was right. Karma had arrived quietly. Adrian's collapse, Myra's exile, it didn't feel like victory, but it reminded me the world still had rules, even if harsh ones. I returned home, unlocked my apartment, and for the first time in weeks I felt like I owned the space. The quiet didn't press down on me. Instead, it hummed like a promise. I might be wounded, but I could heal. I could rebuild. And slowly I began to believe it. I hadn't expected to like work again, but the first day Lena walked in changed something. She smiled, not the polite, fake smile most people offered, but a genuine, soft one that seemed to reach into the gray corners of my mind. "Hey, I'm Lena," she said, extending her hand. "Looks like we're on the same project." I shook it, surprised at how steady my voice sounded. "Ethan. Nice to meet you." Throughout the week, we worked together, swapping ideas, making jokes that weren't forced. I noticed how she didn't pry into my silence or my past. Instead, she offered small gestures, a coffee when I stayed late, a note on my desk with "You're doing better than you think." One afternoon, I let a fragment of truth slip. "I had some stuff happen in my personal life. It's complicated." She looked at me, tilting her head. "I'm listening if you ever want to talk. No pressure." It felt strange, someone genuinely offering space without judgment. "Thanks," I muttered. "I don't usually talk about these things." "I noticed," she said softly, eyes kind. "You don't have to, not all at once. Healing isn't a sprint." Her calm honesty started breaking down the walls I'd built around myself. At home, I reflected on my therapist's words. "You need to let go of the version of yourself that died in that room. You can grieve, but don't stay buried in the ruins." I tried. Slowly. I began jogging again in the mornings, listening to music I hadn't touched in months. I cooked meals, simple ones, but it felt like reclaiming control. Myra's name popped up on my phone. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered, then blocked her number without hesitation. Every step forward counted more than any apology she could offer. Later, I met Lena for coffee. "I never thank people enough," I said, stirring my drink. "But you make it easier to keep going." She smiled, faintly, warmth in her eyes. "You've always had the strength, Ethan. You just didn't know it yet." I laughed, a short, surprised sound. "Strength, huh? Feels more like I'm clinging to sanity." "You're more than that," she said. "And you don't have to do it alone." We walked in silence after that, the city buzzing around us. I didn't feel pressure to fill the quiet. Her presence alone was enough. I realized healing wasn't about erasing the past, it was about moving forward despite it. At night, I journaled like my therapist suggested, noting small victories. A morning jog, a laugh with Lena, a moment without panic or regret. Each line was a reminder that I was slowly, painfully taking my life back. I stopped replaying Mira and Adrian's faces before bed. I stopped expecting betrayal at every corner. Lena didn't push me to share everything, and that was enough. Her trust in me became a mirror, showing me the parts of myself that still deserved care. "Small steps, Ethan," I whispered to myself one evening. "Small steps back to you." And for the first time in months, I felt that the version of me that survived the worst wasn't broken. It was just learning to breathe again. The papers sat on the kitchen counter like a silent verdict. I picked them up, scanning the words that ended everything with Mira. Divorce finalized. No fight, no argument, just cold, legal closure. I folded the papers carefully and set them aside, feeling a strange lightness mixed with exhaustion. Myra's last text popped up. "I'm sorry. I will regret this forever." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Every letter, every call, every plea she had sent over the past months had been ignored. This one would be no different. I found the old photo tucked behind my desk drawer, the one of us smiling, oblivious to what was coming. I stared at it, a mix of sorrow and anger twisting my chest. Then I lit a match, careful, watching the edges curl and blacken. "You took my heart," I whispered to the photo, "but you also taught me how to rebuild it." The flames ate the paper quickly, leaving ash in my palm. The smell of burned paper filled the room, sharp and cleansing. I breathed deeply, letting it settle in my lungs like a baptism of sorts. Ava called that evening, sensing I needed a check-in. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "I've never felt lighter," I said. "Or maybe it's just the weight I've been carrying finally letting go." You deserve that, she replied. You've carried more than anyone should. It's time to live for you. I smiled faintly. Her words hit me in the center of my chest. Living for me, that was a concept I hadn't entertained in months. Not since the betrayal. Mira sent a letter later that night. Thick envelope, neat handwriting. I picked it up but didn't open it. I felt the weight of her regrets in my hands without reading a word. I folded it neatly and set it aside. She had her own lesson to live with. The city was quiet when I stepped outside. I drove aimlessly, letting the tires hum against the asphalt. The neon signs reflected off the wet streets, painting streaks of color across the windshield. The night was mine alone. I thought about how pain had shaped me, how betrayal didn't destroy me but forced me to see who I really was. Every sleepless night, every tear, every moment of rage had brought me here, standing tall despite it all. Funny, I muttered to the empty car, how losing everything sometimes gives you the chance to find yourself. The wind slipped through the cracked window, brushing my face with cool relief. I smiled faintly, a genuine curve of lips I hadn't felt in months. Ava's advice echoed in my mind, you don't have to forgive them, Ethan. You just have to free yourself. I let go of the past with every turn of the wheel. I passed the places that used to hurt me, places where memories lingered like shadows, and now they were just lights in the distance. This is the start of the real me, I whispered finally aloud. My voice was steady, no tremors, no hesitation. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free. Not vengeful, not broken, not hollow, just alive. The open road stretched before me, dark and endless, full of possibility. I inhaled deeply, the cool night air filling my lungs, washing away the residue of grief. I smiled to myself and pressed the accelerator a little further. For the first time, I was moving forward.